My name is Kasia Pisanski, much easier than my full name, which is Katarzyna Pisanski. I study vocal communication in mammals and humans. Currently, I am in a few places, actually. I am literally living out of a suitcase for 5 months. But I am affiliated with the University of Lyon in Saint Etienne, France, and also the University of Wrocław in Poland. So as I mentioned, I study vocal communication in humans, so bioacoustics, how we produce sounds, how we perceive people based on their voice, and we study this in a wide range of mammals, from dogs to elephants, and my specialty is humans. I think scientists have a massive responsibility to communicate their research, and not only to the scientific community, but to everybody, essentially. We are given the responsibility of having to, we are the experts in a way. And so if we cannot trust scientists to communicate on their areas of expertise, then who can we trust? When it comes to communicating science, I think there could be perhaps more training to get the word out to, say, the lay public. I was never taught this, in fact, and in my graduate studies, my advisors never emphasized anything like the need to communicate. There was a lot of pressure on publishing, essentially, and even my advisors would say not to take my coursework so seriously because I should be focusing on getting papers out. And so certainly because of this pressure to publish, there isn't that much focus on disseminating until really you get a little further in your career. And even then, unfortunately, I think a lot of scientists don't care as much as they should about communicating. And perhaps it's because it's not part of the culture, especially in graduate school. And we're not taught how to do it the same way that many people are not taught how to teach properly. They want to do research, yet in many countries you have to teach as well. Maybe they don't like teaching, but they must do it anyway. So yes, I think that making this part of a culture, how to disseminate, how to do it properly, and perhaps rewarding researchers in a way to communicate for those who maybe don't have an intrinsic desire to get the word out there, or perhaps they're just shy, I'm not sure. There's an interesting distinction that maybe is not as black and white as it is presented, the public versus the scientists. Because of course the scientists, you and I, study completely different things. So we are both scientists, researchers, yet in completely different fields. And so should I be communicating, when I say communicating things about, say, my research on mammal vocal communication to the public, does this include scientists and other specialties? I think when it comes to communicating to the public, this includes anybody outside of the area of expertise. I think that the best way to communicate to the public, if we are considering the public anybody, is something like the open source movement, where basically we need to make the information, our scientific information, first of all, freely accessible to anybody who wants to read it or who wants access to it. This could include journalists, it could include politicians, it could include my mother and father, or anybody who doesn't necessarily need to be affiliated with an institution. Obviously, it can also include researchers, and in particular those who don't have funds to pay for access. And the second aspect is then to make that more readily accessible in the sense of understandable. So when we talk about communicating to the lay public, I think the emphasis is on making ideas easy to understand for everybody. So this would be applied to people outside of your field that are also scientists, but also people who have absolutely no knowledge of your area of expertise. So to be able to not only make the research accessible, but to also be able to make it understandable. And then the third level, of course, is to make an impact with it somehow. So this would be disseminating in ways that have a very far reach. So this is why often we want to disseminate into pop culture journals, for example, events such as this one, where I believe you invited the public, so it wasn't just students, anybody off the street could come and join in on the event.